Donald, tomorrow is the birthday of your son, Mr. Barron Trump. And I know he has grown up so much into a very tall, good-looking gentleman.
間違いなくご両親に似たんだと思います。
As I see you, Donald, it is very clear where he got it. Of course, from his parents, there's no doubt about it.
Well, that was tough to watch. Yet this wasn't the only time Trump's favorite son has been in the news recently, as he's been facing calls to fight in his father's war in Iran, like this website created by comedy writer Toby Morton of South Park and Mad TV fame. Now, this bit of satire has made its way into coverage from legacy media outlets.
After Barron Trump celebrated his 20th birthday in lavish style last week as a Trump, he could have marched straight down to a recruiting station and joined the army to fight in his father's war. But he didn't.
MS Now's Lawrence O'Donnell recently took a jab at Barron alongside the entire Trump family for, as is the case with most politicians' families, valuing their lives over those of the American public by refusing to join the war effort.
Does Barron Trump know how to drive? Could he drive an ambulance in the army? Or is he not quite as tough as the 18-year-old Princess Elizabeth was when she joined the war effort? Imagine being more spoiled than an English princess on her way to becoming Queen of England. That is what it means to be a Trump. More spoiled than the British royal family. Barron Trump and Tiffany Trump and Eric Trump could now honorably protest their father's war, and very effectively protest it. Or they could join their father's war. But we know enough about Trumps to know that they will do nothing. Absolutely nothing. As the Trumps always do in war. President Trump does not bluff, and he is prepared to unleash hell. Unleash Eric. Unleash Barron. Unleash Tiffany. Of course, Donald Trump does bluff. Donald Trump himself, of course, repeatedly and famously avoided the military draft during the Vietnam War, ultimately getting out of it with a note from his doctor saying that his feet that he spent the rest of his life playing golf on just could not serve in any capacity in the Army, not as a driver, not an office job, just nothing.
I really like the direction that O'Donnell took here, the way he attacked Trump's family. The first point, how are you more spoiled than an 18-year-old princess on her way to becoming the Queen of England? Huh? How are you more spoiled than that? That says a lot. But I also think it's an effective strategy because this is something that a lot of people who revere the military service can appreciate. But then furthermore, it really highlights the family's class position and privilege where, they don't have to get on the front lines. They choose not to because they're weak, they're soft. You know how I know they're weak and soft? Because they're choosing not to protest their father's war. They're not saying anything. They could easily do that. They could do that. But nah, they want to sit in their cozy lives and all the benefits and privileges that they get for being Donald Trump's children. But they don't have to do anything. They can live lavishly and they don't have to lay a finger on anybody or, put themselves at risk. Spineless people. Spineless people.
Let me get something straight right now, Piers, so people know where I'm coming from. My Uncle Emil fought in World War I. My parents both fought in World War II. My father had 6 bronze battle stars in Europe. My mother was a nurse in North Africa, which predated Normandy, fighting Rommel, the Desert Fox, the greatest German general. Both my parents were World War II veterans. My brother and I are both Vietnam veterans and member of the Navy UDT SEAL. We both did 2 tours to Southeast Asia. So everyone in my family is a war veteran. I wanted to get that out right now so it'll help with the things that I'm going to say to you in the moments to come.
Former WWE superstar and Minnesota Governor Jesse Ventura also shared some choice words for Barron.
A war is justified if you're willing to send your kids. Because how can you send somebody else's kids to a war if you won't send your own? So I'm calling right now for Barron Trump, Donald Trump's son. You know, after all, he's had 3 wives, he's had kids by each wife, and nobody's ever served in the military. To my knowledge, a Trump in the last 100 years has never done military service. Well, Barron, you can change that. Enlist in the United States military right now. Do something your father didn't have the courage to do. Do something your father didn't have the patriotism to do. I want to see a Trump in the military. Everybody in my family is served, so I think I can say that with all due confidence. Come on, Trumps. Don't just reap the benefits of this free world. Somebody put on the uniform, and that's you, Barron. And I heard the excuse that Barron might be too tall. David Robinson served on active duty. He was 7 feet tall before he ever went to the San Antonio Spurs basketball team. David Robinson went to the United States Navy Military Academy. He's one of my officers, not directly, but he would have been.
Yo, Jesse was cooking Trump, Barron, the entire Trump family. And I love how he says, a war is justified if you send your kid to the war. Because how can you look somebody in the face by asking to send their daughter or their son to the war, but you won't send your kid? Got it. And Ventura is a perfect person to criticize the Trump family because he served in the military. And as he pointed out, every member of his family served in the military. So they know what it's like to put their lives on the line, right, to defend our freedoms and our country. But for Trump, he's a draft dodger. He's a coward. And a whole lot of anti-patriotism, right, up in his blood. He don't want to go to war. He don't want to be in the military. But Barron can change that. And I love when he said, people make this excuse, essentially, that Barron is too tall, but he brings up David Robinson, checkmate. So let's stop. Let's stop with all the excuses. And while we're on the topic of criticizing Barron Trump and the rest of his family, you should also be aware of this.
What we found was that their release from Romania was really the culmination of years-long efforts by Andrew Tate in particular to forge very strategic alliances with prominent figures on the American right, media figures like Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens, people in the Trump family, first Don Jr. and then Barron, and then eventually some of his supporters who were very public with their support and defense of him and their criticism of the Romanian criminal case ascended into the Trump administration.
Alina Habba has talked about him. Richard Grenell, who has a kind of freelance portfolio and in fact admits that he discussed the case with a Romanian official.
Richard Grenell in particular, we found, had discussions with at least 2 Romanian officials about the Tate's case. One at Mar-a-Lago in December of 2024, the second in February at an international conference in Munich. And what we also found was that within days of that second conversation, an order from the highest levels of the Romanian government came down to the prosecutors in the criminal case saying, you got to strike a compromise with the Tate brothers. And they did not.
They were unhappy.
They were outraged, but they did follow through with ultimately lifting their travel bans, which the Romanian prime minister believed was going to appease the Trump administration.
Listen, this report shouldn't be surprising at all to anybody, unless you've been living under a rock for the last few years, and then some. Because remember, Donald Trump, Barron's father, is a man who was found liable for sexual assault. Donald Trump is accused of raping a child. Andrew Tate is an accused sex trafficker. And oh, by the way, Donald Trump has very close ties to Jeffrey Epstein. And we still don't know the full extent because so much of the files have been redacted to protect Trump. So when I hear, Tate was, cozying up, to Barron Trump, trying to gain favor with him, right, that don't surprise me. And clearly Barron went along with it, and Barron was cool with it. So it's predictable. It's on brand for these individuals, for these type of people, this family. They have no morals. They have no dignity. They have nothing but selfish intentions and doing whatever is best to help them and their friends. And what happens, their friends or their people they associate with are terrible people. Rebel HQ, I'm Chris Williamson. We'll see you next time.